Good morning, everybody, and welcome to what might be my last, for the current time being, max build guide, and that is for ice. Ice is a little complicated when it comes to making a free-to-play friendly, good build, and I think I got as close as I could get with the tools that I have. So let us first do the swap. Let's pop the potion. 14k health exactly is probably my favorite part of this build. Also, besides the stitch, this stitch is very sick. I'm very proud of this stitch. I had to do all of the Aquila challenge mode stuff. I had to do a bunch of Beast Moon and Decathlon. But let's go over the stats. So I think the thing we should pay attention to is the damage and the pierce. And those are the two big things that someone like Almond looks at when it comes to these max builds, because he does very good min-maxed, pay to have good stat builds with Frilosaurs and raid stuff. I am not rocking all of that because I will not be spending money on this game like that. These crowns are from trivia. So let's look at the stats. We have 197 damage, and this is varied based on the pet that I'm rocking. So it's like 190 to 200 based on the pet that you use. 67 universal resist. Actually not that high, not as high as I was expecting, but you do get 78 resist to storm, which is a decent amount. 33% accuracy, which is enough for your Count Croculas, which is 25%, and enough for your regular spells, which is 20%. You have 600 crit, which is pretty low, but I mean, it's you can't really get more crit with this build. 830 block, which is honestly pretty good. 43 pierce, and again, this is something that is pretty varied. You can get like 39 to 47 or whatever based on the pet that I'm using. We do have 840 conserve, which is pretty good. Perfect pip chance, and a little bit of arch mastery. Of course, again, the big thing is that 14k health, which I very much like. Now, there's one exception that I have to this build that's like the free-to-play friendly version, and that's the Robe. I am personally running the Nightmare coat, but you can rock the Forbidden Library coat, and that gives the same amount of pip chance. So you can do the exact same build, but swap the Nightmare for Forbidden Library. The stats will be a little bit different, but it'll be fine. You're okay. You can farm the Forbidden Library Gauntlet at tier 1 with like your main account and then an alt account that's like level 1. Farm it over and over again to get the reagents. Then when you want to craft the max gear, you just do a max run. You can probably solo it, you'll be fine. But I have the Nightmare coat from way back when I started this account, and I just bought a bunch of them because it was really good at the time. However, the new best pack robe, or new, is the Marleybone Motorist Pack 2, which I don't know where it's at over here. But the robes are equivalent to the raid robes. So let's see if we can find the ice one just to show you the stat difference right here. So the difference is less health, less pip chance, but that's fine because we have 101 pip chance. So the minimum is 8% that we need. Less resist, but you get more accuracy, more pierce, more crit, more damage, and you get shads instead of block. And that's comparing it to the Nightmare coat. Compared to the Forbidden Library coat, it's a little bit different, but Forbidden Library is the free-to-play friendly alternative to that. You might be asking yourself, why can't I use the Reaver Robe? And that is because it gives 7% pip chance, which is not enough. That'll get you to 99%, and 99% is basically 50%. You want 100% pip chance at any means possible. So I guess without delaying, let's churn through all of this stuff. I am running the Avatar Crown of Revenge, which gives a balance blade. Now, compared to the Reaver armor, it's the exact same stats. The only difference is an item card. The Reaver hat drops from Malice. You can also craft it once you get the badge. The Avatar hat drops from Khonshu. You can also craft it once you get the badge. I personally got mine from farming Khonshu during my 30 runs on my Storm, I think. And socketed, I have Storm Resist. You can also socket Balance or Death Resist. I have Storm because Storm is the highest damage per pip. And swords, I haven't really thought about storm pin or sword pins on my ice, but you can throw whatever you have on it. It doesn't really matter. Robe we just went over. I rock the Nightmare robe. You can also rock the Raid robe or the Aggressive Overcoat, that's a pack in Raid robe, or the Forbidden Library robe, which is free-to-play friendly in the Gauntlet. boots, I am rocking the Cruel Dream Reaver boots. Again, only difference between this and the Avatar boots is the item card. This gives an ice trap, which I think is very good. It was also just the one that I had, so I'm not going to farm for the Avatar boots when I already have the Reaver boots. They give a lot of health, a lot of block, some good damage, and some good resist. On this, I do have Death Accuracy socketed, and you can see I have Death Accuracy socketed there. I could actually get more Death Accuracy if I had a 5%, but that's mostly for my feints, in case like you get mantled or something. My other recommendations would be for balance, because like you might use reshuffle or you might use elemental blades and elemental traps, so you want to not fizzle your balance spells. I think you can rock Storm Accuracy, which you could also use for your Windstorms or for your Squall Blades. So it's pretty much up to you. I think the Shield Pin and the Power Pins are the two that you actually want to care about. And I'm personally going to be running Death Accuracy, but I might swap to Storm Accuracy depending on what I'm doing. Wand, I am personally running the Avatar Chakram, and we actually have the perfect example of the stats being the exact same on this. So the stats are the exact same. Avatar Chakram comes from the Taking Tree, and the Reaver Wand comes from Malice. And for the boots, I don't know if I said it, but the Reaver boots come from Malice, and the Avatar boots come from the Loon Knight dungeon, which is the dungeon right before Khonshu. For the Athame, I am rocking the Dream Reaver knife, which dropped from the Valencian Fleet fight. It gives a lot of health, a lot of block, pip chance, good damage, and I do have a item card Sharpen socketed, in addition to double pierce and health, and that is for my increased utility. I'm all about utility with this, and that's why I have that. For the amulet, I am running the Dream Reaver amulet, which drops from Crash the Bandicoot, which is a side boss fight in Wallaroo. You don't really need to ever craft this. You will farm Crash enough trying to get your socket wrenches, where you'll likely get your Reaver amulets, but it gives a ton of resist, and it gives you that circle triangle, as well as the Ice Blade item card. The only like real alternative to this, if you want the blade, is the Ghastly Conspiracy raid, which gives a little bit more resist, and it gives the same blade. So there is that, but ultimately you only really need a circle and triangle socket amulet if you want to have like a very competitive build. For the ring, I am running the Cruel Dream Reaver ring, and I do have the item card Potent socketed. I got Pierce, and I have Health socketed. This drops from Freddy Croker. You can also craft it with the applicable badge earned. I got mine dropped. Freddy does drop them pretty easily. We're going to skip the pet because that is the variance in this build. I don't have a stat mount, so I'm just running a Ravenwood Pogo Stick. You could run a Pierce. You could run a Rock Mount. You could run... if you do run the Rock Mount, you could run the Reaver Robe. Keep that in mind. You could run a Battle Narwhal, the Battle Havocs. Whatever stat mount you have, you could rock it. I don't have any, so I'm just rocking a Pogo Stick. For the deck, I am running the Dream Reaver deck, and it has a Moontrap. It's not really anything to die for. The Avatar deck, though, does have an Elemental Trap item card. So if you want to know what's good band for band, the Avatar deck is a little bit better because it gives a better item card. They are pretty similar. They're the exact same in stats, pretty similar with the item card, and they give the Circle Jewel, which is the very important part of this. And the Avatar deck drops from Loon Knight, which is where the boots drop, and then the Reaver deck drops from Mr. Montgomery. Now for the pet, so the one I have with just my gear set is this quad damage proof pet. I do have some alternatives, like I have this one which is double resist and fortify. I've got this one which is bad. This one's bad. This one is good. It's got proof, triple damage if I socket Ice Giver, and then also make us fortify. And then I have this one, which is probably what I'll be rocking, and it's triple damage, proof, and breaker. The triple damage comes from Pain Giver, so that'll be 7 more damage. And with this pet, it would be 193 damage, 67 resist, and 47 pierce. Now, I guess you could also socket Piercer, but you could socket Piercer instead and have 186 damage and 49 pierce. But I mean, it doesn't really matter all that much, so I'm just going to be rocking this one. The Ice Decathlon is coming up probably around the time this video does upload, so I'm going to have to remake all of these pets on the Ice Hamster. And that is because they give an item card Sharpen and a blade, which is very important. And like all my pets, they are in the kiosk if you want them for some reason. What I think you should do is use the exclusive pet method that kind of started pretty recently. Or I don't know how recent, but I learned about it recently when I was making all these pets. And that is basically with spell weaving, they give you these pets and they're exclusive. So if you don't have this pet, you can always get your pet body back. And some very nice people have made a bunch of 2.0 perfect pets with like the perfect pools, and they made a ton of them. As you can see, I'm clicking through and that was 3 identical pets. And then there's this one. So there's a bunch of variations you can hatch with, and this is how I'm pretty much making all of my new pets. This is how I'm making all my hamsters, because I will always get the hamster back. So like if I decided to hatch with this, I would always get the cryo elf back because I don't have the gray walker unlocked because it's an exclusive pet. It just makes it a lot more consistent to get your pets easier and quicker and faster and better and everything like that. So I would highly recommend you use that. I don't know off the top of my head for each class or for each school, but for ice, you want to use the Death Pet Grave Walker. That's the one you want to look for. For Storm, I talked about that in the Storm guide. In the Death and Life guide, I didn't talk about it because I didn't know about it, but I will make a video for all of my builds going into Darkmoor, and I will bring up the graphic there and tell you which pet to use for each one. But yeah, for now, that is this build. I'm going to be going in with like 190 damage, 67 resist, perfect accuracy, 600 crit, 830 block, around 47 pierce, and perfect pits going into my solo of Darkmoor when Darkmoor drops, if I still have membership at that time. But for now, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.